Hi, I'm Lynn Holt. I'm the Director of Youth Ministries at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Charlotte.
And I'm Matt Addington, and I'm the Director of Youth Ministry at St. Mark's in Huntersville.
And we're here today to talk to you about Episcopal Outreach Camp that's held in Charlotte in the Charlotte Convocation. We've been gathering any churches in the Charlotte Convocation for the last 17 years who would like to do ministry together in various ways, but the main thing that we do together is this Episcopal Outreach Camp. Each summer we have a mission experience for middle schoolers. Any church in the convocation is invited, and some years we have 11 or so, some years we have 7. It just depends on what the calendar looks like for each church. But we wanted to provide a mission experience for middle schoolers that was manageable for them at their developmental age. We spend 3 nights in a church in Charlotte, usually. The kids sleep in the youth spaces of the church, and we shower locally, and we eat together and do mission work that's age appropriate. And we hope that this will lead them to continuing to do mission trips as they get older, and to teach them that outreach and caring for others is an important part of everyone's ministry in this church.
I got involved with Episcopal Outreach Camp about 6 years ago when I was first hired at St. Mark's. I heard about it and thought this is a really great idea for middle schoolers to kind of get their feet wet, because it's one thing for them to do a mission trip in Charlotte locally and learn about what it means to do ministry locally. It's another thing for them to do it in Costa Rica and that be their first experience. And so we wanted to provide them with something that was really, really meaningful, like Lynn said. And one of the things that really sticks out in my mind was one year we were working at a slave cemetery, and kind of our job for the day was to shovel mulch into a path and help create a really nice space for the slaves that were buried there. And it started pouring down rain, and a few of the kids were asking, "Why are we doing this? Why are we here? What's the point?" And so it allowed for an impromptu conversation about, these were people, and they matter. And Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." And so we're here loving these people, even though in their home, even though they're no longer with us here. And so after having that conversation, it really changed the demeanor and the energy level in the group, and they were excited and really felt like they were connected to these slaves who had gone before, and really connected as a part of being a church and doing something for somebody else.
Part of what we provide through the camp experience is a t-shirt every year, and it goes with the theme of the year. Last year we talked about, our theme was Home Sweet Home, and what that was about was helping to fix or improve people's homes, but we also include all of God's creatures in that. So we went to the park and cleaned up all the debris that was in the park so that people could use it, but we were thinking of it as an animal's home to all the animals. And we were much quicker than we thought we would be getting this work done. So after we had made sure we got everything done, we came back to St. Peter's to wait for our worship to begin. And as we were sitting in the youth room, it was a collection of all different kids from all the different churches. We divide the kids up so that they will get to know other middle schoolers from other Episcopal churches throughout the convocation. So that's not just Charlotte. But we were sitting in the youth room, and we started a theological discussion that was really amazing and wonderful. And the middle schoolers were asking all kinds of questions about the Episcopal Church in general, about what we were doing, why we were doing it, and there was some deep thought from these middle schoolers. And then as each group finished their work and came in to the youth room, they all just sat down and joined the discussion and continued it. So it was, by the time all the groups were back, it was a wonderful discussion with 40 or so middle schoolers and their leaders about what the church means to them, why we do the work, why we want to get to know each other. And then we went to our closing worship up in the church, and it was just a wonderful transition. And I think that made the worship even more special to the kids.
Yeah. As a part of being the Episcopal Church, oftentimes we forget that the Episcopal Church is much bigger than the space that we meet in on a Sunday. And Episcopal Outreach Camp does a really great job of incorporating things from the church, across the Atlantic, the Anglican Church, or the New Zealand Church, or the church in New Zealand. And one of the ways that we do that is through worship. We have worship. We do morning and evening worship, and one of my favorite worship services is the Taizé service. And we incorporate different prayers and different things from other Anglican traditions into that service. Another way that we kind of help people know that the Episcopal Church is much bigger than what they see on a normal Sunday are the Millennium Development Goals. For 2 or 3 themes of the camp, we did MDGs, where we focused on, I think there's 9 of them, about how they as a middle schooler can really make a difference in the world and change the world and make it a better place for everybody, including, pregnant mothers in Africa, HIV/AIDS patients in Africa. So
the years that we have done the MDG theme, it's often more educational than actual hands-on work. But one year they did skits. Do you remember the skit year?
Yeah.
And it was really funny to watch a middle school boy playing a pregnant mother in Africa with a mosquito net over him. So they really got into it and learned a lot about how to help people all over the world through the greater church that they belong to.
Another way that we really kind of did a hands-on MDG thing is we took them to a church that had a community garden and housed some refugees, and we worked in that garden and we talked with the refugees, and then after being outside all day in the summer in the heat, we brought them in and said, okay, it's lunchtime and it's going to be a poverty simulation. So 80 to 90% of the kids only got a bowl of rice that day for lunch, because that's what the majority of the world lives on. And that was a huge kind of eye-opener, hands-on education moment. And they weren't real happy with us, but that was okay.
They learned a lot.
They did.
But that leads us to how we get a lot of the stuff done that we do. Since we've been doing this for so long, we've done 16 of them, we basically know how to divide up the tasks that need to come together to make it a complete camp. So we gather for 3 or 4 meetings, the youth leaders that are involved, starting usually in about February, leading up to the camp, and we just divide up the jobs. We try to have 3 different themes, so that if a teenager comes 3 years in their 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grades, they will get a little bit different experience. So one of the youth leaders will say, I'll do the worship booklet, and this is an example of one of the worship booklets that we do, and it, as Matt described, it has services from around the different kinds of Anglican traditions. And then someone will say, well, I'll take the food this year, and they plan the meal and get the food and plan parents who will come help to cook it on the nights that we cook.
Another really great part about Episcopal Outreach Camp is it's not 8-hour-long mission experiences. During the evenings, we kind of shift gears and offer them some really great fellowship and community time. And part of that also gets kind of fleshed out in that meeting. When I'll find the parent with the lake house, and I'll take care of looking at baseball tickets, and I'll find the Pizza Hut that's closest to where we're going to be. I'll call the YMCAs and get the showers set up. Because we've learned through experience that most middle schoolers can't handle a full day of intense manual labor. Some days I can't handle a full day of shoveling gravel in a parking lot.
But it's also important to us in this camp that the kids have fellowship opportunities with other youth outside of their own youth group, so that they meet other people. It also helps them to want to go to diocesan events because they want to see their friends from St. Mark's or St. Martin's or whatever. So the fellowship part of it is very important. All the worships that we do morning and night, and then the closing Eucharist, and the fun.
Yeah.
That's all important, just as the work is, so that we give them a full experience.